Han shot first. Right, okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's take a little trip down to that cantina where everybody knows your name. There's a lot to be said about this place, more than just the lovely tunes of Fig Grandan and the modal nodes. With that in mind, I'm Sean Ferrick for What Culture Star Wars, and here are 10 secrets of the Mos Eisley Cantina you need to know. 10. It has a name. The canon tie-in book Star Wars Complete Locations by Simon Beecroft, Kerry Dougherty, Jason Fry, James Luceno and Kristen Lund reveal that the cantina was actually named Chalmun's Spaceport Cantina by the time that Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi came to meet Han Solo. It was one of the more popular, if not dangerous, locales in Mos Eisley. It was a popular spot for smugglers and bounty hunters to pick up new jobs, and for a time, the Bounty Hunter Guild operated some of their campaigns while using the place as a front. For a long time, Chalmun's was a known spot for those in the employ of Jabba the Hutt. Greedo may have been the most recognisable and unlucky employee of Jabba's to take a drink there, but he was far from the only one. In the 4th episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars, Sphere of Influence, several of his associates were involved in a firefight while they used the bar for a hostage negotiation. While may not have been the smartest move when dealing with the Pantoran Supreme Chairman and the daughter they'd taken. These bounty hunters may have been mean, yet the Jedi Padawan Ahsoka Tano, who had been sent to reclaim the chairman's daughter, was not that impressed. 9. It once served as an illegal spice den. In between the Clone Wars and the end of the Galactic Republic, the cantina was owned and operated by the Vrichon brothers. Once again, thanks to the fantastic tie-in canon reference book, Star Wars Complete Locations. These Renat siblings were illegal spice runners who turned the bar into an illegal spice den. This was similar to an opium den of Earth's history. The spice of the Star Wars universe was said to have been heavily influenced by the spice melange from Frank Herbert's Dune. Spice was mostly mined in the slave mines on Kessel, where Wookiee slaves were worked to death. It could also be found in other worlds in the galaxy, including Naboo. In fact, the assassination attempt against Senator Amidala's life was initially credited to disgruntled spice miners before it was revealed to have been ordered by the Separatists. Spice, particularly Sansana spice, was so addictive that those who were hooked would allegedly sell their own mothers just to get another hit. As is the case with any drug, too much could kill the user. Perhaps this is the reason why after they sold the bar, the Vrichon brothers vanished, lest they be held responsible for the slew of bodies that were buried in the basement of the bar. 8. It could hold 102 patrons and had 12 drinks on tap. Although the cantina seemed small enough from the outside, it could hold up to 102 patrons at any one time. As it was basking under the heat of Tatooine's twin suns, it was a welcome respite for travellers, traders and smugglers who were trying to relax in Mos Eisley, even if there were probably safer prisons out there. Much of these details came from the reference book Star Wars Absolutely Everything You Need to Know by Adam Bray, Kerry Dougherty, Cole Horton and Michael Koch. The two main bartenders were Woer, a human who worked the day shift, and Akmena, the female night shift manager. The building was made of sandstone and it was designed in an oval shape with the bar in the middle. There was the option of 12 different drinks on tap, all coming in 16-ounce glasses. These included Blue Milk, Tatooine Sunset, Jawa Juice, Yatuni Bosca, Tatooine Junko, Hutt's Delight and others. While almost all of these sound frankly stomach-churning, the bar did a roaring trade day and night. One of the most immediately recognisable traits of the bar was a Bith Clue horn band, the Modal Nodes, who performed daily to the delight of many and to the chagrin of the rest. 7. Chalmun was a Wookiee. The Adventures of Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight by Tony DiTerlizzi was a children's picture book that actually serves as the first appearance of the cantina's owner. Chalmun was a Wookiee who had a history of trying to swindle people on the street, saving up enough to buy the cantina from the Vrichon brothers. When he took ownership of the Chalmun Spaceport Cantina, he largely decided to go straight, though that didn't prevent some shaky dealings from going on in the bar. Added to that, he wasn't exactly an angel himself. Once he arrived on Tatooine, he quickly set up shop at the cantina, located right beside the local junkyard and very close to the closest port. The brothers he bought the bar from disappeared, with many suspecting it was due to their fear of reprisal when Chalmun discovered all of the bodies downstairs. The bar appeared to be a strictly non-violent location, though Chalmun was ready to turn the other cheek once money crossed his hands. He knew that his bartenders rented out the underground caverns, which was fine by him as long as he got a cut of the pie. In many ways, Chalmun was quite different from the rest of his race, as he preferred to wear clothing. He did, however, keep the bowcasters that a certain other Wookiee would make famous. 6. It has a strange history with droids. When Obi-Wan and Luke entered Chalmun's while looking for Han Solo, one of the house rules of the bar was leave your droids outside, you don't want Woer on your case. Woer was the daytime barman. He was a human male who had lost his parents to battle droids during the Clone Wars. Because of this, he installed droid detectors in the doors of the cantina, forcing them to remain outside. He did, however, have great respect for the Jedi, who saved him from a battalion of these droids years earlier. Chuck Wendig wrote "We Don't Serve Their Kind Here," a short story that features Woer. This story appeared in the 2017 Del Rey anthology From a Certain Point of View. This expands on the character and thus the cantina's backstory too. However, after the battles of Endor, in around 9 after the Battle of Yavin, the no droids policy was abolished. This meant that when Din Djarin came to Chalmun's looking for work, he was greeted not by a scowling human face behind the bar, but by the expressionless robotic eyes of the droid EV-9D9. What happened to Woer remains a bit of a mystery, as he was not present to see the Mandalorian arrive in The Gunslinger, the 5th episode of the Disney Plus series. Whether he was killed in the intervening years or simply moved on is unknown. The bar certainly became a friendlier place for droids once he left. 5. Assaj Ventress joined the bounty hunters here. One of the galaxy's most formidable warriors held a very important meeting in Chalmun's cantina. Assaj Ventress had once been trained in the Jedi arts before she lost her master. She then succumbed to Count Dooku and the dark side of the Force, beginning years of training as a Sith apprentice. She grew so powerful so quickly that Darth Sidious ordered her execution, which Dooku reluctantly complied with in a display of loyalty. After the Battle of Dathomir, in which she almost defeated General Grievous, but then suffered the loss of her people, the Night Sisters, she was alone in the galaxy again, eventually finding her way to Tatooine, as so many of the down-and-outs tended to do. In the Season 4 episode Bounty of Star Wars The Clone Wars, she quickly made her way to Mos Eisley and to Chalmun's. While attempting to drown her sorrows at the bar, a bounty hunter named Oked foolishly tried to bother her. She casually impaled him on her lightsaber and kept drinking. This led to her recruitment to the group that he'd been a member of, bringing her under the wing of a certain hunter wearing Mandalorian armor, Boba Fett. 4. Boba Fett started his hunt for Solo here. Speaking of Boba Fett, the ruthless bounty hunter had visited this particular cantina many times. Seeing him at the bar was hardly a cause for concern until the day came when his hunt for Han Solo began. In Star Wars No. 5, the 5th issue of Marvel Star Wars series by Jason Aaron and John Cassaday, his entry to Chalmun's was very much a cause for concern for all present. Before arriving at the bar, Fett had murdered 4 Rhodians, a group of Jawas, and a family of moisture farmers, all so he could find the name of Solo's young accomplice. His search brought him to Mos Eisley and to Chalmun's. He entered the bar and stood at the centre of attention, telling all of the patrons and staff that he would not leave until someone gave him the boy's name. One alien foolishly insulted Fett, claiming that the only boy present was Boba himself. A 6-armed, 2-meter-tall alien stepped forward. Boba removed one of the 6, breaking another 3. The barman, Woer, told Fett that no one knew the boy's name, only that he had arrived with Obi-Wan Kenobi some time before. At that moment, a young man tried to bolt. Boba captured and interrogated him, getting the name of Luke Skywalker from the young man. Then he released him, only to shoot him in cold blood moments later. 3. It featured in an anti-drunk driving public service announcement. Back in 1979, Star Wars was one of the hottest properties on the planet. A New Hope had dominated the box office, winning fans of all ages. It set the other movie studios in Hollywood scrambling to come up with their own sci-fi franchises, like a certain Paramount Pictures, yet Star Wars quickly made the move to television. Although, it's not entirely what you're thinking. No, it's not the god-awful holiday special. In 1979, Chalmun's Spaceport Cantina featured in a public service announcement about drinking while driving. In the ad, there are many customers dotted throughout the bar when a Tals patron becomes inebriated. While the announcer describes the situation, a Doros patron offers to drive the Tals patron home. Together, they fly off on a YT-1300 freighter. Considering the number of children that came to the franchise thanks to the action of the first film, this ad was able to reach more of the youth in America than ever before, and it was all set in Chalmun's Spaceport Cantina. 2. The inside and the outside were nowhere near each other. Behind the scenes, it's hardly surprising that the exterior and the interior shots of Chalmun's Spaceport Cantina were filmed in completely different locations. The exteriors were of course filmed in Ajim, Djerba, Tunisia. Ajim is a ferry port on the island of Djerba, so to get to the location a ferry was required. Most of the inhabitants either work in fishing or tourism, with the exterior of Chalmun's Cantina still serving as a big tourist draw all these years later. There are also the remains of the Stormtrooper checkpoint and the Falcon blast-off alley several streets away. The interior shots were done at Eisley Studios. Back in the 70s, Eisley boasted 6 large stages, one of which was commissioned ahead of filming on The Empire Strikes Back. In the years that have passed, however, much of the original building was torn down and replaced with a supermarket. This meant that while most of the original trilogy was filmed there, much of the prequel trilogy wasn't, with only some pickup shots being completed. 1. It continued to host bounty hunters after the Guild left. After the fall of the Empire in both the Battle of Endor and the Battle of Jakku, the New Republic sprang up, quickly trying to consolidate its strength, or at least its appearance of strength, by ceasing any and all contract with bounty hunters. This was bad news for Din Djarin, who had travelled to Mos Eisley in an attempt to get hired by the Guild in the 5th chapter of The Mandalorian, called The Gunslinger. The droid bartender, EV-99, told him that there was no chance he would find Guild work at Shamans due to their struggle to exist. However, that didn't mean there were no hunters left in the bar. Toro Calican, an aspiring bounty hunter himself, engaged the services of the Mandalorian while in Chalmans, explaining that he was hunting the assassin Fennec Shand. With her capture, he hoped to get into the Guild himself. Djarin agreed to help him, proving that even without the Guild's help, he was still able to find a job in Chalmans' little cantina. And that's everything for our list today. And if you reckon we missed anything that absolutely must be known, please drop it into the comments below. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and remember that you can catch us over on Twitter at WhatCultureSW. You can catch myself at Sean Ferrick on Twitter as well. Remember, look after yourselves, treat yourselves and everybody else with a little bit of kindness, and may the Force be with you.